Good evening. Hey, I wanted to be true to my word and share a video this week. Although the last few weeks have actually been super miserable, as one of my patients gave me bronchitis and nobody got time for that. It's actually, my voice has been hoarse, just have had the energy to basically just fulfill my responsibilities and do the things on my schedule, and just the research, learning, like seeking wisdom, just about the kingdom. I'm not quite ready to just really dive into that. So appreciate you being gracious and patient. So you guys are awesome. So I wanted to just get our minds thinking along the lines of kingdom just this week before we dive in. So is there anything in particular that comes to mind when you think of a kingdom? Even a kingdom just on earth, with a king, citizenry, landmass. What comes to mind when you think of the relationship of a king to the citizenry? Have you visited kingdom, perhaps? So, just to get the juices flowing about kingdom living and kingdom understanding, I was listening to an interview with Dr. Miles Monroe from the Bahamas, and he shared this definition that I think, why don't we just ponder it this week? So he said, a kingdom is the governing influence of a king over his territory, influenced by the will, the purpose, and the intent of the king, producing a citizenry which expresses his culture and reflects his nature. So let's just go through that a little bit more slowly. So a kingdom is the governing influence of a king. So there's a king over his territory. So essentially, the king is in charge of, owns, and is responsible for everything underneath him and his territory. Influenced by the will and purpose and the intent of the king. So in essence, the mind of the king is reflected in the culture of that kingdom. Producing a citizenry of people that express his culture. So these people are looking to learn, understand, and grow into the culture that the king manifests. And actually becomes, like the culture becomes part of and adopted by the citizenry to reflect, to express the culture, and then reflect the nature of the king. So one comment he also made that I think was interesting to consider this week, before we fully dive in to the grand story that's actually really super awesome, and I'm excited to just share, especially just the future coming of the kingdom. But one thing he shared, I think is really insightful and fantastic, really, is that a kingdom is not a religion. So a religion produces a system. So religion produces a list of rules and a system. So a kingdom is not a religion. So a kingdom rather produces a culture where the citizenry adopt and become linked with the heart of the king. And so let's just ponder that this week. What does it look like for, even on an earthly kingdom, to be a great citizen that reflects the nature and the culture of a king? And then what does it look like for us as our heart is transformed to reflect and express better the nature and culture that the King came to show us. And ultimately, the kingdom yet to come, where this influence goes from our current state of adoption to full manifestation of this coming kingdom. So, yeah, I hope you guys have a great week. Appreciate your graciousness again and your patience. And yeah, I hope you guys have an amazing week and just continue to live. Let's live and transform our hearts a little bit more in line with the culture that we see articulated and expressed in the stories that we read this week. So